Hello, Mr. Banda. Long time no see. How are you doing? Where have you been? Long time no see. Nice to see you. Hello, Akila. How you doing? Nice to have you. Hi, hi, hi. Hello, 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 hello. Nice to see everyone. Nice to see everyone. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. It's episode 8. Can you imagine? It's episode 8 of Young and Strong. It's been a journey, and we thank God that we're still here. We're still doing it. We're still talking to our young people. Hello, Mama G. Nice to see you. Again, thanks for coming. Hello, Emmanuella. We're in for a great time tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It's going to be another lovely time when I'm going to be talking to another amazing young person. And like I said, it's been a journey. This is episode 8. This has been wonderful. I mean, from 1 to... It's my sister, Bobs. Hi, now. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining me. It's been amazing from my first episode with Abby to Tony to Ira to Ore to Shanova to Dami to Ife. It's been an amazing time, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do this with these young people. And tonight, like I said, I have another amazing young person joining me tonight. We're going to be talking about all things young, all things strong. Thank you so much, darling. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. And without much ado, like I said, this is not always about myself. This is always about the young person. So I always like to bring them on immediately for them to talk, for them to share, for them to tell us. Well, we've been saying on this live, we don't talk about ourselves as the older generation. We're just the generation that are ahead of the younger ones, you know. And I'm just going to bring her on. She's going to be talking to us. She's going to be sharing with us what it means to be young. This is someone that's done quite a number of things in her time. So whenever you're ready, Emmanuella, like I said, it's about you tonight. Whenever you're ready, request to join, and we're in for a great time. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone for joining us. Rachel, it's just so amazing to have you. You know, I hope sometime you're going to be on this and we're going to be talking as well. So Emmanuella, whenever you're ready, you can request to join me so I don't have to talk. I don't like to talk too much on these things, you know. Uncle Bumi, nice to see you. That's my best friend. That's my best friend. I call him my... We're going to be bringing Emmanuella on, and we're going to be going, you know, right into our... Hello, Melissa. Melly, how you doing? Thanks for coming. Hey, girl.
Hi. Hello.
How are you, my dear? It's so good to see you. How have you been?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Now that I've got you, I'm not as nervous as I was feeling before. Now I can transfer all the nervousness to you. It's good to have you. Thanks everyone for coming along. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're going to go right into it, like I said. So Emmanuella, like I said, it's about you today. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Emmanuella. I'm 20 years old. I study sociology at the University of Bristol. And I know Aunty T from church, so we go to the same church. And I think that's about it, really.
Well, I've known you for quite a while. That's not about it. Let me tell you a bit more about Emmanuella. She's an amazing young lady. Hi, David. Thanks for coming. Emmanuella has been doing some great things. Tell us a little bit about Aphrodite.
Okay, so yeah, I even forgot to mention that. So Aphrodite
Yes.
is a young arm of Poor Africa. So we work on empowering and inspiring young Black women, young Black women or any Black woman connected to the African diaspora. So yeah, we have a podcast if you want to listen.
Aha. See, I'm going to plug you tonight, so get ready.
We have a podcast. It's called Aphrodite and Power on Spotify, so you can have a listen to it if you want. Yeah.
Hello, Sister Yemisi. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. And what kind of things do you talk about on Aphrodite?
So far we've been talking about mental health, education, careers, body image, self-esteem. So there's a range of topics there. Shanova just joined, so
I
Shanova.
should know her. We're
Hi.
plugging Aphrodite at the moment, so
Mhm.
yes, go on.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We just had our first event this weekend. It
Right,
went really well. We were discussing just transitioning post-pandemic. So in
right.
terms of education, mental health, careers, what that looks like. And we had three amazing guests. It was really good. And we had some positive feedback. So
Brilliant, brilliant. So what kind of age range, when you talk about young Black women, what kind of age range do you target? I
um,
know I try to be a young Black woman. I'm a Black woman, but maybe that's not
so
young.
we target
But
from 17 to 25.
amazing. Okay, that's good. So that's Aphrodite. That's one of the things Emmanuella does. Like I said, it's always about the young people, what they're doing, and they are doing something amazing. We're going to be plugging that definitely. And like she said, they have a podcast.
Mhm.
And Shanova, if you can just put in Aphrodite's handle on there so that, I mean, people can go and see what exactly the amazing things you guys are doing. Okay, so it's you now, Emmanuella. So I always ask that general question when I have a young people of it. What is it like being a young adult, a young woman in these times? What's it like?
Um, I guess like any other generation, it's like a process. There's a lot of things that we are grappling with, and I guess just the political climate at the moment alone, and just racial. I mean, for me, I'm only speaking from my perspective.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I'm talking about your perspective now.
so um, just the political climate alone makes it really hard to navigate what is going on. And with social media, everything is quite visible
Okay.
and out there. And I guess for young people right now, like any other generation, we're trying to figure it out. Especially when we get to our 20s, I think there's a lot more things that we are exposed to, a lot more responsibility. Um, I think it's just a process, really.
Process. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say hi to an amazing young man. Val, how are you doing? It's nice to see you. He's got some really amazing inspirational quotes. He's somebody I'll encourage everybody to follow. Hi, Val. So, so nice. Thank you so much for joining me. So when you talk about the influence of the political climate, what do you mean by that? When you say,
Mm.
young people have to deal with the political climate, it's not as if you have to go into parliament or anything. So when you talk about that, how do you think, what would you say that kind of influences? How does that influence the young people or you as a young person?
I think our generation have become a lot more vocal when it comes to like political participation. So whether it's voting or, protesting, and a lot more things are becoming visible. So before, when I guess I can only speak for the UK, um, racism was quite in the closet or undercover. And then with the rise of like the Black Lives Matter movement, everything is out there in the open and it's public. And everything's being shared at such a fast pace. And everyone's trying to educate each other on matters that are ongoing. Um,
Right.
Other things like women's movements or like sexual assault and all of that is becoming a lot more visible. And when we use social media, obviously, to follow each other, there are information being passed along. Um, and I think it encourages people to be vocal and have their say as well. Um, yeah,
Yeah. So you think young people are more vocal these days? They feel that they have a say and they should be heard.
definitely.
And how do they get themselves heard? I mean, I remember in my time, which was a long time ago, if we were upset, hi Kem, That's my sister. I'm just going to give a shout out to her. Happy anniversary, sis. That's Kem Sparkle. That's another amazing young person. You've just got to follow her on social media, and it was her anniversary. So happy anniversary, sis. So how do young people get, my time, like I was saying, then what you would hear when they wanted to go vocal was you would have like protests in universities and riots and things like that. But now that's not how, young people are expressing themselves. So how do you guys all express yourselves these days? What is your outlet?
I think there are multiple ways of how we express ourselves, whether it's in conversations with our friends, whether, like you mentioned, protests, whether it's through blogs, whether it's to sharing, whether it's to writing to members of people do stuff like that. But I think one thing that I can say is we're just educating ourselves. We're no longer asking one person to be a representative of their group, and speak on behalf of the entire group. If you want to find out about race, or if you want to find about identity or what is going on, we have the tools to educate ourselves. Um, I think one route of getting politically involved is to educate ourselves first, because you don't want to be in an arena where you don't know what's going on. You're
No,
speaking on behalf of a group of people that you have no idea about.
right.
So people are really prompting education, find out, learn, this is what's going on. This is how you can contribute. So yeah.
Exciting, interesting. I know there's a lot of, I mean, I remember during, for example, the Black Lives Matter, I was so amazed about the number of young people that actually got very vocal about it, and they had something to say, and it was like they were not, they were very unashamed about going out and saying things about that, which was quite interesting. Now, let's bring it back a little, bring it home a little bit. You were talking about something that Aphrodite talks about, and now talk about you. When you talk about young Black women,
Mm.
you understand. Now, when I'm a bit curious, when young Black women, you guys come together and talk, what kind of issues do you think young women, let me not even say young Black women now, because I'm more interested in young people, red or yellow, black or white. What kind of issues are you guys going through at this point in time? What would you think your contemporaries are going through at this time?
Um, what we spoke about in one podcast that we had was just this narrative, this very narrow-minded um, narrative of Black women. So you're either really loud or boisterous, or very confident and out there, or you're very quiet. And it's like you can't be one or the other. And I feel like when you go to spaces where you are the only Black woman, you feel like you have to carry the badge of representing all Black women. Um,
Really?
Another thing that we spoke about was just not being so, not falling under the title of victimhood, in terms of, yes, we are Black, yes, we are women, and society does not necessarily push for those two categories in particular, and then those two categories combined together. But we can't, you know, go into society thinking that, having that victim mentality and letting that stop us from being authentically ourselves, whatever that authentic self means. Um,
Okay. And is that something that you personally have ever experienced where you've gone somewhere and you felt like, I've got to prove myself, or I've got to feel somehow, or there's an expectation from the fact of who I am?
yeah, I felt like that at university actually.
Really?
When I was in sixth form, I'm surrounded by my Black friends. There's not really much. I mean, we did speak about race, but it wasn't a lot. And then when I came to a predominantly white university, I think in seminar groups where we were discussing racism or ethnicity, or ethnic minorities, I felt like I had to present
Yeah, of course. Oh,
Um,
that's fine. That's fine. I was going to wait
I
until you got back. Hi, me. Nice to see you. Yeah, it's all right. Okay, go on, Emanuela.
I felt like I had to present a version of myself that they wouldn't have any, like they wouldn't be intimidated by me, or they wouldn't have any questions about me, or I wouldn't fit into a specific stereotype of black girls. So that's when I kind of felt depression. I remember mentioning it in a seminar. Actually, we were talking about face of the race. So when there's one person that represents an ethnic minority, you feel like you are the arm bearer of your,
Oh my goodness, all that burden and the
yeah,
black and proud kind of thing.
yeah, and you can
Okay.
just be you. You don't nothing. Not every time everything has to kind of tie into your race. You can
Yes.
just
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So do you feel that every time, I mean, I didn't want this to be the slant, but if this is where we're going, do you feel that every time we have to go out there, there's already that notion or that narrative following us that you have to prove that you're more than what you look like?
you have to prove more than the stereotypes describe. But I think just thinking too much about it, you become too cautious
All
and you limit
right.
yourself to an extent. I think you just going out and saying, I'm I'm Sophie and I'm an artist, or I'm Sophie and this is what I do, or I'm also black. Not I'm black, so I need to debunk every myth that you have about black women. I think it's just too
Right.
much responsibility, and it's not even my place to um, remove any form of prejudice, attitude, or knowledge that you have of me, if that makes sense.
So I mean, do you think this is something that let me put it this way, do you think this is something that we brought on you guys? That we didn't deal with, maybe my generation didn't deal with, and so you guys have got to now try. Maybe we were a bit too subservient, or do you think that well, this is just what is happening now, and your generation has to find a way of dealing with it? Hello, sis. That's my another big sister, Sister Shadi. Hi.
Um,
Do you feel that, or do you think well, this is how the society has become more open, and you have more of an opportunity to deal with it?
I don't think that blame has any service. Um,
Okay.
I don't think. Oh, sorry. I don't know what's happening. Oh no.
Don't worry, just take it easy. I can still
Okay.
hear you. I
Okay.
can still hear
Perfect.
you. That's fine.
I don't think blame has any service here. I don't think blame can do anything. Um, we can't blame the previous generation for how racism was handled. We can say that it was difficult. It was difficult to not feel able to vocally speak about what is going on, or institutional racism. It's not. I don't think it's being in a subservient position. I think that alone is very difficult to kind of hold your tongue back. Um,
Right.
I think the generation before us did what they knew they could do with what they had. Um, I think now it's become more permissible to vocally speak out on certain issues. In fact, people want to hear what you're going through, but back then it was like, you just do what you have to do, go to work, meet these type of people, roll your eye, turn your eye, bite your tongue, and keep going. But now our generation is a lot more, no, we have to point this out. Um, so I don't think there's anything
Okay.
more than
Thank you very much. That's very encouraging. All right, let's bring it home. In some of the interviews I've heard before with young people, a question I like to ask is the relationship between young people and the older generation, such as relationships between young people and parents, young people and older generations. And one thing I always ask is when you have issues, who do you turn to as young people?
um, someone that we trust.
Who do
Uh,
you normally trust? Who do you guys normally trust?
Again, I feel like speaking on behalf of everyone is such a big task, because I like
No,
to.
don't talk about. I want to talk about you. I'm
Oh,
saying,
really?
who do you
Okay.
guys? No, 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 no. You talk about you. Don't, you're not representing anybody. When I say who do you, talk about yourself. Don't worry. If I can get all the young people on earth, yeah, I'll talk to them one by one. But I
Mm.
can't do that. So, but you, who do you talk to when you say who you can trust? Who would you go to if you had to talk about deep things?
I'll speak to my friends. And I'll speak to mentors and counselors that I have in my life. Again, you said deep. So if it's quite sensitive and I feel like I need someone that's a lot more mature
Okay.
than me or a lot more experienced than me, and I think I would just speak to like um, a mentor. But if it was
Right.
something that's just quite, I felt like it was, yeah, if it was too heavy for me to carry, and I felt like me and my friends wouldn't be able to, I don't know, I don't want to present that particular issue to them. I'll speak to a mentor. Um, but just like day to day other like emotions or anything that I felt, I would speak to my friends.
Do you think that because a lot of times when I ask, it's it's not usually I'll go talk to my mom or my dad.
Mm,
It's normally I'll talk to my friends.
mm.
I'll talk to my friends about this, and then if it's a last resort, okay, well, if I'm in trouble, I'll go talk to my parents. Do you think there's a reason why the first parents are more of a last resort rather than a first point of call? Do you think there's a reason why that normally happens?
Um, I guess with friends there is okay. Um, so I study sociology, so I'll just bring that in just a little bit. So in the family, you have like primary socialization, where you know learn to communicate, learn to build relationships, learn to be yourself. You know, you learn about social cues, so on and so forth, and then you enter school and you have secondary socialization. So that's a lot more independent. That's a lot more you pick your friends. Who do you like? Who is like you, who do you reflect to. So it's a lot more independent and you feel less pressure. Um, I guess people turn to their friends because there isn't that pressure and disappointment. And remember, we spend like at school. I see my friends 5 times a day. We're in the same lessons. We talk. We have fun, and after a while, we build that trust. If you go home and you spend, let's say, you go home at 4, and you spend 6 hours with your parents until, I mean, it depends what time they come home, and then you go to bed at 10 and you wake up and the cycle continues. For the majority of your childhood are spent with your friends if you are in public education. If you're taught at home, then your parents are your teachers, your parents are your friends. Um, After a while, that trust is built. And because we are all the same age, who is here to judge me? We're all going through the same thing. Um, and I feel like young people tend not to speak to their parents because one, they don't want to work with them or like give them such some topics are quite sensitive and you don't know how they would receive it, and we can even put like cultural differences, um, time, um, what else, let's just stick with cultural differences and time for now. The generational gap is so much, is so large sometimes that you just feel like your parents aren't able to meet you where you are, and fully comprehend what you mean. um, so I think people tend to turn to their
To
friends.
their friends because you think the parents won't understand. And do you think it's the pressure that one they won't understand because there's a generational gap,
Mm,
and also because you use the word judgment.
mm.
Do we think does that mean that we think that already there's a level of expectation from our parents, and if you ever fall below that, then already you've fallen below the mark or something like that, and then going to them and saying now failed is like a big deal?
Um, I think the level of expectation is what puts some young people to trust in their friends or share other things with their friends because they just feel like I feel like they can get it kind of thing. Um,
You think I don't get it? I get it too.
that's the thing. It's like we
I
I've
try
spoken,
to get it.
I've spoken to friends who would want to share things with their parents, but they just think it's too private to share with their fam.
Wow.
And rather share it with friends where you feel like again there's no judgment. Um, yeah.
Really? I mean, you would have thought if it's private, then it would be in the home setting, wouldn't it? That
Yeah.
would be where it would go. But now it's so private that it's not in the home setting. It's
Yeah.
actually outside the home setting. Hi, Fikaya, nice to have you. And I mean, even you, I mean, it was quite interesting because you gave us a little bit of a sociology lecture there, which is quite interesting about what did you call it? The um,
Socialization at home and then
primary
secondary.
socialization at home, and the fact that your first point of call is actually your family.
Mm.
And it doesn't it sound a bit unfortunate that now when it comes to those deep issues, that's not where you go,
Mm.
you know? And do you think there's a way as a young person, do you think there's a way we can build that? And shouldn't that be built?
Um, I think it starts with trust. And really looking at your child as an individual that has choices, an individual that has his or her own mouthpiece, an individual that is very much independent. Um, I think when parenting styles become I don't know what the word I want to use. Just recognizing that your child is an individual. So let's mm, when they
Would it be like a one size, don't use like a one size fits all kind of thing, and don't
yeah,
think every child should be the same?
every child is different. And I think when you real at certain ages when your child begins to make their own choices, recognize that, and allow them to make choices and allow them to be independent, allow them to treat them as an adult. When they're kids, treat them like kids, but speak to them as
Okay.
an individual. So for me and my friends were having a conversation about this. So um, how do I say it? So you have a
It's okay. You have liberty here. As long as I tell you, as long as you don't swear, you don't blaspheme, and you don't say I don't look good, you can say
okay.
anything. So it's fine. It's not, I'm not gonna like open my mind and say, how can you say that? I know you would use the right words, but it's fine. Don't try and be excessively diplomatic. It's fine. All right.
Careful. I think
Yeah.
allowing your treating your child as an individual, allowing them to trust you,
Okay.
spending time with them and getting to know them. Like I
Right.
think you can't expect your 6 year old to be the same as your 16-year old.
Excellent.
Interest changes, personality actually changes. The more time they find their friends or their social circle, you realize that your child has a complete different interest than they used to when they were like 5 years old.
Mhm.
But still getting to know your child, I think there's this assumption all the time that yeah, I know my child, but do you really know your child? How much time do you spend with your child, or are you allowing your child to raise themselves from the ages of like as soon as they enter secondary school, you completely lose interest. If it's not school, what else are we talking about? If that makes sense. And I think that's where the trust comes from because when you have friends at school, they're interested in every aspect of your life. I
Right.
went to an all girls school, and I don't know, the friendships that we formed were quite tight. As in, we spoke about being in an all girls school. What does that look like? How do we interact with boys when we leave? Or things like how we feel. And like after a while, it's not even about school. I mean, I ask you what did you have the last hour, but I'm not really that interested. Like, what's wrong? Like, how are you? And I feel like with a lot of parents, they ask about school. What are you doing? Are you working? What are you going to choose for A levels? What are you going to do at uni? And that's where the conversation stops.
Okay. So it's more than that. I mean, it's more than achievements. What are you going to achieve? What are you going? It's about how are you? What's happening to you? What are you going through? Like somebody said in one of the previous episodes, he said, just ask. Do you think it's okay for parents to come and ask you how are you and not talk about school?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think for other young people, it could take a while um, to fully explain how you are. But I think the more interest that you begin to take in how the well-being of your child, um, emotional and mental well-being of your child, it just becomes like, yes, easier for them to share and be open.
Okay, but like Kemi said, for young people to also demonstrate some measure of responsibility. Do you
Mm.
think even it's okay, even if your parents don't ask, and I know it's very hard, they're
Mm.
not asking you the questions, but can you talk to them? Can you go and say, I need to talk to you? Or young people want parents to come to them. They're not okay with going to the parents. Does it have to be one way? Or is it
Um,
more comfortable one way?
that's well said. I think it's a lot more comfortable that way, at least for me. Um, but again, relationships are a two-way street, so it depends how much more you want to have a relationship with your parents. And just having that conversation. Um, mm, I agree for Kyle. Um, yeah,
Emotional intelligence.
mm, and I
Okay,
think
say some parents have to show some emotional intelligence, Mikael. Okay, all right, and some responsibility.
mm,
So we've heard responsibility, we've heard emotional intelligence. I know there's a lot of times when young people say, as parents, as the older generation, you've got to understand us. You've got to, see where we're coming from. You don't understand us. But can I ask you, do young people try and understand where parents or the older people are coming from?
definitely, I think it would be baseless to just assume that this is just happening to you. We also have to understand that um, there are some issues and that they're still going on with, and there's a parenting style that they were also exposed to. So we just can't assume that this is it. Um, Especially, I could definitely say for um, first generation British kids, we the parenting style in England is completely different to where our parents come from. And I think acknowledging that idea of tough love was very much demonstrated in the home. And that's completely different to what we need right now. If so, some parenting styles and discipline does not necessarily fit the social. Yeah, it
Talk to
doesn't
me about
necessarily
that.
fit.
So, for example, you see, I need you to give me, for example, it's okay, it's okay. For example, because something you said is quite interesting.
Mm,
The parenting styles for first generation, for example, if the parents just came over and then they had the kids in the UK and you're just growing up in the UK and they've come straight from the Caribbean or from Africa or from another continent or another country and they've come. So what kind of have you seen that? What kind of things have you seen that you say they call it tough love?
um, I think one thing that I would say is just being affectionate with your children,
Right.
um, allowing them to know that they are seen and they are loved by you. I feel like Well, I feel like
Talk to me. It's okay. Look, and I'm happy. The beautiful thing is I've got young people on and I've got parents on. So
okay.
it's fine. So there's no like, oh my goodness, Auntie T, I'm not going to put my hand on my head and say, I beg your pardon.
Mm,
No. What exactly are you saying? When
mm,
you talk about being affectionate, because that's something I know, but I'd like you to express it.
mm. I think being affectionate with your children, so reassuring them, um, finding a way to always remind them that your love for them is unconditional, and not based so much on how much merit they receive. Yeah, simply saying I love you is really important, and I don't think a lot of okay, let me not generalize. I think hearing that alone is reassuring enough. Like I know that some African households, again, I'm generalizing, don't hear "I love you"
Okay,
in the house.
talk freely, it's fine. Yeah.
Um, don't hear that in the household. And that's what I'm saying, that the parenting style is completely different. And again, it's not blame. I feel like, again, first generation, our parents are doing what they knew,
Mm.
what they were also exposed to. Just know that it's just a lot different now. And it's okay to also adapt. And our children will probably have something to say about our parenting style. But again, I think with each generation, we kind of pick and choose what is working and what does not necessarily work. So I can say for um, my parents' generation, community was so important. So we are Ghanaian. Where are if we move to a new city, it's like where are the fellow Ghanaians? Let's meet. We need to build a community here, and the passing of cultural ideas. I know that in every Ghanaian home, we have this Aquaba poster with this woman carrying pots. If there's any Ghanaians on here, you can support me on that.
Go
It's
on, Melissa. Do you have
it's
your
just that passing on of
culture?
your culture, um, and practices and values and things. So that's very important, building a community and um, being proud of where you're from. Because I remember coming here when I was 9, and my parents, actually not my parents, like aunties and uncles, were so adamant that I don't leave speaking Chi, and they were like, no, you have to continue speaking it, continue speaking it. It's important that you stand, and you're proud of where you're from. So again,
Right.
that parenting style, I was like, yeah, I'm Ghanaian, and I was very proud of where I was. Obviously, that changed a bit, but yeah, that's another parenting style that's amazing. But where uh, Melissa mentioned it in the chat, where there is physical abuse under the disguise of discipline, that does not necessarily work. There are so many ways of disciplining your child in a way that they acknowledge that they are in the wrong.
All
Um,
right, Melissa, you're Ghanaian. Okay.
Acknowledging that they are wrong, but also allowing, I think emotional intelligence, Fikayo mentioned it, allowing your child to feel like I'm upset, like I'm angry. Obviously not lashing out and throwing things, but to acknowledge that this is an emotion that is important and it's happening. Um, that's another parenting style that needs to be, I think, implemented when we have children, to acknowledge how they feel and not so much dismiss it. Um, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I mean, you've said quite a number of things that I find quite interesting, and I'm glad that people are commenting as well in the chat. Like Kemi said, physical punishment is not the only form of discipline, and the balance between discipline and affection,
Mm,
like you said, it's not something that maybe a lot of the first generation grew up with, where
mm,
your parents come and say I love you,
mm,
or they come and sit with you, are you okay, and
mm,
all that. But when you come and you're now in this kind of environment where that is part of life, that is how parenting is done,
yeah.
and your generation can see that, and
Yeah.
your generation craves for that.
Yeah.
And it's for us, like somebody also said, to evolve, to take what is good and be able to move away from what is not working,
Mm.
what is not working for us. So that's another thing. I'm glad the parents on here are acknowledging that, and you're saying some really, really deep things. Thanks. My brother is on there now. Kwekun, thanks for joining me, and also my friend Yemi, thanks for joining me. Um, so now, I mean, we've gone deep, and you've told us that us parents, we have to tell our kids we love you, and we should be able to ask them how they're feeling and listen to what they're saying, not just how was school, did you pass, did you read, did you, did you, but how are you?
Mm.
Now, let's talk about you talking to the teenagers coming after you. What is one thing you would love to tell the young people coming, the teenagers? Well, you're no longer a teen now, but you've gone through your teen years. What is something you would love to share with the teenagers coming behind you? What is one thing that maybe you thought, I wish I'd known that when I was a teenager?
Mm.
And I'd love to pass this pearl of wisdom to you.
Mm. Um, I think the first one would be hobbies.
Hobbies.
Yeah, as weird as that sounds, I think finding hobbies and doing things outside of school, and like education is great, it's amazing, it's an amazing tool that's very needed in our society. But what more can you bring if that was entirely removed, and having kind of like a safe outlet in your hobbies, and continually doing that. So, for example, I would start hobbies and not completely give my 110%. And I can tell how those hobbies now at my age would have been a lot more beneficial.
Mm,
Um, just creating discipline, really, and like having a creative outlet. So, and even in having hobbies as well, you can find aspects of yourself. So you can find what you like, what you don't like, and build your identity. There's your identity that is just that is outside academia.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and sorry, there's something in my and the last one would be comparison. And I'm still at my age dealing with it now. But I think if it was nipped in the bud at a younger age, it wouldn't be so much of a, I guess, struggle.
Mm,
Um, oh gosh, sorry, there's something.
that's all right. That's okay. Take your time.
Um, so not yeah, comparison. So not comparing yourself to, yeah, it doesn't serve anything. It makes it really hard to be in social circles because you're constantly, constantly measuring yourself against someone else,
Yeah.
and it really creates just bitterness within you, and it kind of
Okay.
weakens you as well because you can't be authentic, holistically yourself, because you're
Okay.
always trying to find bits and pieces of other people, in an attempt to create who you think
Yeah.
is, yeah. So comparison, and find some hobbies.
I like that. I have nobody has ever come and said one thing I would tell young people is find some hobbies. But it's quite true because there's a lot of pressure, your education, you've got to become something, you've got to be this, you've got to be that. But actually have a place of release where
Mm,
you do exactly what you love.
mm,
And I think that, I mean, that is just so amazing. I've not had anybody put it so simply before. You're a young person, go find something you love to do and just do it.
mm. I think
Just find a hobby.
that
Thank
was
you so,
just
so
from
much for that. Sorry?
that was just from like observing my brother. So
Okay.
he's 5 years younger than me, and he has, yeah, he was very, no, he is very passionate. So when he finds something, he really develops it and does it well. So like my dad would get him drum kits, and then he will stop drumming, and then he wants to dance, and he will stop dancing, then he wants to do basketball. And I found that it didn't, he wasn't so, obviously he's really smart, but he didn't let education define him too much, because he knew that, okay, I can draw, or I can edit, or I can take good pictures, or I'm really I can fix things. I'm really good at basketball. And also my sister as well, I found that she has her own fashion, I guess, creative outlet there, where if she does get a bad grade, okay, it is a bad grade, but it's not my be all and end all kind of thing, because I know that there are other things that I'm also good at
Good
outside
at.
of school. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I've just seen a wonderful woman. Her platform is Shape a Child. She does this amazing, amazing stuff on Instagram for children. It's nice to have you. And she's got this I think Captain Excellence books. So Shape a Child, it's nice, nice to have you, and well done with all you're doing with children. She's amazing. So yeah, so for young people, find a hobby. I really like that. I was telling you, find a hobby, find something you love. Don't let just education define you. It's never too late to start, like Rachel said. It's never too late to start now. Let's all get. I got to find a hobby. I've been doing all kinds of things. I mean, I know you're talking to the teenagers, but hey,
No, it's for everyone.
we can
Yeah.
piggyback on that, man. I like to bake anyway. I don't know if that's a hobby or that's just the
That is
fact
a
that I like.
hobby. That's
It is a hobby. So young people, yes, Kem says I know Kem does all kinds of stuff with outside academics. What's that thing you do, Kem? Is it fun to learn? Uh, um, she has this thing she does. Is it fun to learn? I can't remember, but it's like it makes academics so amazing where they do all kinds of stuff and it's more fun than learning anyway. Yeah, so find a hobby. So that's for the people who are teenage. So if you're a teenager and you're on here, you got to go find a hobby. Now, what would you tell? Fun to learn. That's what it was called. Fun to learn. Yes. Now, what would you tell your contemporaries? You've told the young people go find a hobby and make sure you don't compare yourselves with others. What would you tell your contemporaries, your 20-year-olds, your 22, 23, 25-year-olds? What would be a nugget you would love to pass on to them?
hmm. um I'm just echoing like people that have said the same thing, and I completely agree with. And it's not being obsessed with timelines. So, for
What?
example, at 25, I want to have a house and da 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 da, which is great. I think it's an amazing goal to strive towards. Um, but where you have timelines and you start to approach that age in particular, you start to panic, and then you start to think I'm not good enough or I didn't work hard enough, and you start to compare, and that can really bring you down and weaken you, that you don't actually do anything. So don't get too obsessed with timelines. I think it's great to have a goal, and to have measurable steps to reach that goal. But
Hmm.
where you are obsessed with, I must get married by 25 or 28, and that doesn't happen. I it just it just makes you feel terrible. What we should be really working towards is goals. So I would like to have this. Whenever it happens, I've reached that goal. But even with goals, what are we learning? What steps are
In
we
the
taking
process.
towards, yeah, that particular goal? Because once you achieve it, okay, then you get obsessed with creating another goal. Um,
Okay.
and I think another thing is not doing things just to be seen.
Oh.
I remember like just in at the start of like Snapchat, where we didn't have like private stories where it was just the main story. Everyone wanted to show every aspect of their day or anything that great that happened. And it was just to show other people this is what I'm doing, this, but we don't really talk about the work that goes into it, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Um, so being open about how much, yeah, not, the words are not coming to me. Um,
It's okay. We get what you're saying. Don't worry. It's not in the
that's
words. It's in the passion behind what you're saying. I do get what you're,
mm,
I do get what you're trying to tell us. I mean, I never thought about don't be obsessed with timelines. That's really true because there's always this, and I think it might have been pressure that has come from the fact that, you know, by the time you finish university, you're supposed to do this. And then by the time you've done this, you're supposed to do that. And we actually subconsciously put some we put it out, say, oh, this is my goal, but it's not being driven by a sense of, you know,
Yeah.
wanting to achieve or a sense of wanting to accomplish. It's being driven by some kind of panic that
Yeah.
is in our subconscious that you're supposed to have done this by this age, you know. And I like what you said, don't be obsessed with timelines. And the other thing you said was make sure that, I mean, you're not doing things so that you should be seen.
Yeah.
It's
So
not about, go on.
I think the word I'm looking for is not even seen, but to be validated or to be reaffirmed. Um, I think when you're sharing aspects of your life, it should be to motivate and equip and inspire other people, not
Right.
so much to receive accolades or to be congratulated, because then you get into a cycle where people's words are like currency for you. Like, it means so much and it fills you up, and boosts your ego. So I think you
And
just,
when you don't get it,
it's like you're running on no energy whatsoever.
it's like when they validate you, then you're on a high, and then if you
Mm,
don't get anything, it's like suddenly you're deflated and your life doesn't have meaning because your validation is coming from the outside.
mm,
And for what you're saying, that's amazing. That is really. I mean, you're saying so many things that I think I'm going to have to go watch this again and just take some notes, you know, about what you're saying, because it's amazing that the life lessons we need are very, very simple.
mm.
They're not in the grandiose things and in the big things. They're very, very simple. And I love the way you put some things so simply that I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense without having to go into an encyclopedia to get them. Right. I mean, as we're coming to the end of this, you've just been amazing. I mean, I'm just tripping.
Thank you.
One thing I know, I mean, because I've known you for a while, is that your faith plays a very major part in your life. And so just give us a little bit about how does your faith, you know, I mean, contribute to everything you do in your life? What part does your faith really play in your life?
Mm. Um, I think it makes everything, it puts things into perspective. It reassures you, it gives a lot more, it relieves a lot of stress and a lot of panic.
Okay.
And I think it also grounds me in terms of you, you you tend to look at everything from a different type of lens to what people are looking at or what society looks at. Um, and I think with faith as well is acknowledging that it would grow and it's okay to have doubt as well. So
Mm.
I would panic when I have doubts, like, oh, I'm having doubts. I don't know if I'm truly a Christian or does God love me? And it's like I find out that you can bring those doubts to God, and remember that faith grows, um, and faith can be strengthened. And even the Bible speaks about like faith cometh by hearing the word of God, um, and continually to grow yourself in your faith. Now I feel like I've not asked the question. So what does faith
No,
play?
no, no, you're on the right track. You're on the
Okay.
right track. What
I
part
think.
does your faith play? And you're actually saying it. And one thing I want you to understand is everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. You might think, oh, I've got to put it in a particular way. You don't have to. What you're saying actually is what we need to hear. Do you understand? And that faith grows, I think, is very reassuring for a lot of people and a lot of young people because you're supposed to think, oh, I'm supposed to be some, you know, faith giant as a Christian. But the
Mm,
truth of it is you're continuously in faith and
mm,
it grows. Sometimes you don't get it because you're human.
mm,
Sometimes you have doubts, but the thing about it is, like you said, you take it to God. and just say, Lord, you've got to help me out here. Like I would say, it's not really working right now, and I need your help. And I think that's very, very,
Ooh,
very, very encouraging. I think her connection has gone off for a little bit, and there
oh,
you are.
I'm
That's
back.
fine. Yeah, just keep coming back. We're almost done. We're almost done, Emanuela, and I really, really appreciate everything you've said. So, is there anything you'd like to say before we just round up? Something you'd love to say in your
Um,
lovely, simple way.
I think it'll probably be for you. Um,
Oh, wow.
I think the work that you are doing is incredible.
Oh,
Um,
thank
and I know that is a, I know that is it's such a step in faith, and a step to do what you've been called to do. Um, and I think it allows other people who are either on this call or other people that know you and just the vast network that you're connected to show such an interest in young people, where we do get a lot of criticism and a lot of negative. Um, yeah, I think sometimes we are dismissed easily. We're overly generalized. Um, and I think for you to take such an interest to hear us individually, just really want to thank you and appreciate just the work that you are doing. And yeah, yeah.
Thank you. And I promise you guys, I didn't pay her to say that,
No,
but
she
thank
didn't.
you. I love you, love you, love you. Thank you so much, Emanuela. I'm still kind of like reeling from the things you said. The amazing simplicity you bring to life. And for all the young people here, I mean, she said some amazing things. Go get a hobby. I think that is so, so encouraging because normally you expect somebody to come and just give you some hard thing, go study more, but you said, go get a hobby. And it's amazing how emancipating that can be. You'd be like, oh my gosh, that's the answer I've been wanting to do. And the things you've told us parents, just your child is an individual. Just relate to your child and
Mm.
to your contemporaries. You don't need to be seen. Thank you so much, Emanuela. I really, really appreciate you coming. And thank you for everyone that has joined us, for everyone that has commented. I mean, your comments are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to all the young people that has come and the parents. And I'm sure, like me, every time they come, we're like, gosh, thank you so much for telling us. We go back and we're able to apply these things. And that's what Young and Strong is about. So that's all. I mean, we're doing, like I said, we try to keep it short, sharp, sweet, but so, 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 so deep. And like I said, thank you, everyone.
Thank
All
you.
the best to you, Emanuela. You're going from
Thank
grace to grace
you.
and glory to glory. I look forward. This is not the only time you're coming. I'm sure you know that. And I look forward to us doing great things together. And like I said, Aphrodite, please follow them on Instagram. It's an amazing set of young ladies doing amazing, amazing things. Just challenging the narrative and helping us to be young, strong, amazing Black women. And you don't have to be Black. You can be an amazing young woman. And thank you to all those that join me. Shape a Child. Thank you. You guys have to follow her. She's amazing, the stuff she's doing with young people. I've got Kem Sparkle. She's just sparkling. Amazing. I've got Valentine, Sonny on there, his words, his inspirational words. I've got so many people, so many handles, Pearl Projects, an architect. So all you guys, thank you so much. God bless you all and see you on the next episode in 2 weeks. And by the way, on Sunday, we're having Mom's Word. I'm going to be having an amazing mom who's going to be talking to us. We're going to have the flip side. Thank you again, Emanuela. I love you. OT, I remember you sold online if you want an online manager. She's amazing. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
God
you.
bless you, Emanuela. Love you, girl, and all the best. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having me.
Bye-bye. Bye.